Shrestha manamapi sachiputram atra surupam rupam tasya grajam puri purim maturim goshtuvat Radha Kundam Giribaram Aho Radhika Madhuvasam Raptoya Supratita Kripaya Sri Guru Tamanatosmi Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya He Mabhadivyaschave Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya-vihina aparadalakshmi chilpashtakamaritara-kamari Kripa-mahita saranam prapanam Vrinde namaste charanara-vindam Vrinde namaste charanara-vindam Govinda Hey Yadava, Hey Saviti, Govinda Damodara Shama Sundar Shikanda Shekar Smarahasa Murli Manara Radhika Rasakamama Kripanidhe Supriya Chana Kinkurim Kuru Tavaivasmi, na jivamittayabana, iti vikyaya devi tam, nayamam charanantikam. First of all, after my sastang dandavat puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadhiya Paramaradatam Guru Pada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Ashtotara Satasri Rupanuga Acharya Varya, Sila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, after my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis Vanchakalpa.
Shri Gurudeva Ki.
By the causes Master Sri Guran Gauranga, today we'll discuss the preliminary steps that lead to Shuddha Bhakti, pure Bhakti. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has described that the first 20 of 64 angas, they are Pravesh Dwara. That means the entrance gate, the door through which a person must pass to have genuine experience of transcendental bhakti. So this subject, the preliminary steps that lead to not an abhas, an imitation, but to a direct empowerment by Sri Krishna's internal potency that gives a revelation of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and his name, form, qualities and pastimes. That type of bhakti. What are the steps that lead to that? So, in Anuched 202, first of all, Srila Jiva Goswami will describe what is called the Vichar Pradhan Marg. Marg means the path. Pradhan means predominated. And Vichar means the analytical thoughts, the deliberation. In other words, the path of bhakti where there's a predominance of the philosophical analysis. And he will contrast this with the Ruchi Pradhan Marg. That means the path of devotion which is predominated by a taste, a relishment for hearing about Sri Krishna and his associates and his pastimes. Now, it is not called Ruchi Marg and Vichar Marg. The path of deliberation and the path of taste is called Ruchi Pradhan Marg and Vichar Pradhan Marg, because it is inevitable that without some taste, then one will not apply himself seriously to the philosophical study. And on the other hand, without having some vichar, some deliberation on philosophical principles, then the taste from the very beginning, it will not develop. But what is the distinguishing feature here is, though there is some vichar, philosophical analysis in Ruchi Pradhan Marg, but the progress on that path is not dependent on it. Whereas in Vichar Pradhan Marg, then one's progress is absolutely dependent on hearing and then deliberating on the subject and clearing out all doubts and so on. So, first of all, in Shastra, the Abhidheya Tattva, that's the process by which one attains the truth, that has been, it is proclaimed that Bhakti is that process. Not by karma or jnana or yoga or tapasya or anything. Only by Bhakti can one attain the truth. And the cause of Bhakti is always sadhu sangha, the association of pure devotees. Bhaktis tu bhagavat bhakta sangena parijayate satsanga labhate pumbe sukrita purvasanchite. In the Naradiya Purana, it is said, Bhaktis tu bhagavat bhakta sangena parijayate. Bhakti is caused by association with those who have bhakti. Why? Because in this world, there are three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. There is no bhakti here. This is the world of Maya. But the transcendental devotees who have come from the abode of the Lord into this world, they bring Shuddha Bhakti with them in their hearts. They are the vehicles for transcendental bhakti. And by their association, that bhakti is transferred to others. And therefore, sadhu sangha is the only way a living entity, by associating with the saints, only by this a living entity can come in touch with pure, unalloyed devotion. So satsanga labhyate pumbe sukrita parvasankshitai. The sadhu sangha is attained by the sukriti from previous lives. What does it mean? Actually, this sukriti from the previous lives is also sadhu sangha. But by the pure devotees, we cannot meet them by our good karma. anything. Because even though every living entity in this world is under the control of his karmic fate, his destiny, but the pure devotees in this world, they are not under the control of karma. So even though an ordinary person is walking around here and there, and pure devotees are walking around here and there, it may look the same, but metaphysically it's completely different. Because one person is tightly bound by the reactions of their previous activities, and the other one is going here and there, freely, inspired by the love in his heart. It cannot even be said that Krishna is controlling him. Why? Because he is controlling Krishna. Krishna said, Aham bhakta paradino yashvatanta iva. I am not independent. I am controlled by the love of my devotees. So yadrichaya kenapi Bhagavad Paramat Swatantra Bhagavad Bhakta Tad Kripa Jat Sraddha Mangaludayena. The first sukriti that we make is one pure devotee was going here and there, and by his kirtan, by his glance, somehow or other, we made some auspiciousness. Mangal Uday, the awakening of auspiciousness, comes into our life. And then that leads the person, perhaps in the next life, then they will search out a sadhu. I want to associate with the saints because of the blessing, the auspiciousness, some faith that was put in the heart from the previous life. So, the bhakti is causeless, but the cause of bhakti is sadhu sangha, association with devotees. And therefore bhakti is still causeless, because sadhu sangha, associating with devotees, is one of the angas of bhakti. So only bhakti is the cause of bhakti. Bhakti in the form of association with the saints is the cause of all the other aspects of bhakti manifesting. So, because the association of devotees is so important, it's necessary to also examine the nuances of association with different types of devotees also. So, first of all, it should be understood that we develop a kind of Shraddha faith, and we develop a type of, we want to say the word ruchi. Jiva Goswami is using the word ruchi, but he's not referring to the stage of ruchi. Here is only referring to a preference, an interest. So we develop a particular interest in a particular form of God and a particular way of worshipping that form of God, depending on the type of devotee we associate with. So if a person meets a Vaikuntha Bhakta, a devotee of Lord Narayan, who wants to attain a position in the spiritual world of eternally uttering Vedic mantras in glorification of Lord Narayan, then this feeling, this fascination will come to you. But if one will associate with a devotee who is the devotee of Krishna of Vrindavan, and his heart is always melting, and he never thinks, he knows Krishna as Bhagavan, but his natural relationship with Krishna is, oh, you're my Pranavalap, you're my most beloved. Madishanata tve braja vipina chandram bhajabaneswanim tadnata tve tadatula sakitve tulalitam. Oh, Krishna, I don't have any direct relationship with you. You are the beloved of my Radhika. Then, by associating with such devotees, then an interest in that will come. Some ruchi, here ruchi means preference. I don't prefer this kind of bhakti. I prefer this type of bhakti. So, yasya satsangati pungsam anivatsya tad gunai. The chitta, the heart is like a crystal, and it will take on the colors of its environment. So sadhu sangha is also like that. The living entity, he will take on a type of ruchi or interest or preference for the form of the Lord and the method of serving the Lord, which is corresponds to that Vaishnava who gave him mercy. So it may be that if a person had association with the Braj Rasik Vaishnavas in the previous life, then in this life they may meet some devotees who are very much in the Vaidhi Bhakti marg, and they see, oh, it's nice, but it's not my flavor. And they'll keep looking, and then they will find the persons who corresponds with the impressions that they received previously. Now, so this is the first thing. One develops by association the corresponding Shraddha, some faith, and that faith from the very beginning, it has some ruchi. It's not the stage of ruchi. It's a particular inclination in that faith. So then, what happens? Some hunger comes to the devotee, that person, that soul, some hunger comes. I want to know more about Krishna. And so, in the company of Vaishnavas, he accepts the Vaishnavas. You're all like my spiritual teachers. And he begins to study the scriptures. Now, first of all, Jiva Goswami, he wants to describe the Vichar Pradhan Marg. So he said that if a person is associating with the sadhus who are very philosophical and very analytical, and of course, our Jiva Goswami himself, he's extremely analytical, but that is not pradhan in his life. That is not the main thing. His main thing is relishing the rasa of Vrindavan. But if someone meets with devotees and their main thing is the philosophy, analytical philosophy, then what happens? He begins to study and learn from them and analyze the scriptures according to sadling. Sadling means that all the scriptures are written in such a way that they have some indicatory points, some ling, that means some features that point the way to their ultimate purpose. So the ultimate purpose of a scripture is called tatparya, the purport. In the end, what does it mean? What is it telling us? Because to explain a subject, then so much background knowledge is required. So the steps as you're acquiring the background knowledge to come to the main point, then these steps are not the main point. Just like Bhagavad Gita, there's a chapter on Karma Yoga, there's a chapter on Jnana Yoga, there's a chapter on Karma Sannyas, there's a chapter on the divine and demonic natures. Yeah? But we cannot say that any of these chapters are the Tatparya of Bhagavad Gita. I have studied the Bhagavad Gita, and the supreme teaching is to be able to tell the difference between demons and non-demons. No, this is not the Tatparya. These are just the steps leading towards the Tatparya. So, in case there's some controversy over what is the Tatparya of a scripture, so the Mimamsa tradition, Purva Mimamsa tradition of Jaimini Rishi, they've given some teachings on exegesis. Exegesis means how do you analyze a scripture. So, one of the rules is Upakram Upasangharav Abhyas Ab Purvata Palam Artavadu Upatticha Lingam Tatparya Nirnaye. You can ascertain what is the purpose of a scripture by identifying six symptoms or indicatory statements. So the first of the 6 is called Upakram Upasangha. Upakram means the opening statement, and Upasangha means the closing statement. So the Vedic scriptures are written in such a way that there will be some common point that you can find in the beginning and also in the end. And if you find the common point, which is found right at the beginning and right at the end, then you have collected one of the ling. And when you put this indication together with the other indications, you can identify what is the purport of the scripture, Tatparya. The example for Tatparya is just like when, there are meanings of words, Shabda Archa. There are meaning of sentences, Vakyartha. There are meanings of the chapters, Adhyay Artha, everything. But what is the Tatparya? The ultimate meaning, that is like one archer. He takes an arrow and he shoots the arrow. And the arrow, it pierces the armor of his foe. But this is not his purpose. Then it pierces the leather underneath. Then it pierces his cloth. Then it pierces his skin. But this is not the purpose. Then the arrow goes in his heart. And then the enemy is killed. So the Tatparya is like the arrow going to that's the heart of the matter. The ultimate purpose. So along the way, there are some preliminary activities in the scripture. But what is the end point? Ultimate purpose. So, first Upakram Upasangha. So we can give the example of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the statement, Satyam Param Dhimahi. We meditate on Satyam Param, the supreme truth. And then at the very end of Srimad Bhagavatam, not the last verse, but almost the last verse, there it says, Tat Shuddham Vimalam Vishokam Amritam Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate on that supreme truth who spoke this Srimad Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma. And then in the form of Brahma spoke it to Narad and then to Vyasa and so on. You see? So we know from Srimad Bhagavatam, even the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam says, Tene Brahma Ride Aadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatra. That is Krishna who imparted the knowledge of the Bhagavatam into the heart of Brahma. So from the beginning of the Bhagavatam and from the end of the Bhagavatam, here we have Upakram Upasangha. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Dhimahi. We meditate on the supreme truth, and that supreme truth, it is not the light of Brahman. Oh, we just merge into the light. Because that light did not instruct Brahma and teach him the Srimad Bhagavatam. It was Krishna who did it. So this Bhagavatam is about Krishna. Dhimahi. Also, this is very beautiful. Dhimahi, this is in the Bahuvachanam, the first person. It means we meditate. We meditate. So it is part of the Gayatri Mantra, and the Bhagavatam is the explanation of the Gayatri Mantra. So when a mantra is given, it's always given privately. Gayatri Mantra is not given openly. So we meditate. When Guru gives the Gayatri Mantra, we meditate. That means the Guru is saying, me, I am meditating, and you are meditating. And also my Guru. It is we. It is in the plural. We meditate. So there's no possibility of impersonalism in the Vedas. Because the Brahma Gayatri is called Veda Mata, the mother of all the Vedas. So what the Vedas are teaching You may argue over it, but its essence is there in the Brahma Gayatri. And there it says, Dhimahi, that we are individuals forever. The Guru is eternal, the disciple is eternal, his Guru is eternal. All the jivas are eternal, and all those eternal jivas are meditating on that one supreme truth. Satyam Param, Sri Krishna. So, this is Upakram and Upasangha. If you want to go to the very end of Srimad Bhagavatam, then you'll see Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Parnashanam Pranamu Dukha Shamanas Tamhara Pranami Harim Param. I bow down to Hari. So again, the Praman is there. We bow down to the Supreme Personality, Hari Krishna. And by Sankirtan, loudly chanting his holy names together, all sins are destroyed. And so, actually the nature of Dhimahi, we meditate, has been indicated here. And that is, we can all meditate together by the loud chanting of the holy names. So, Upakram Upasangha, if you look at the opening and the closing of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find some common point. Now collect that. You have one of your ling. So then, Upakram Upasangha, Abhyas. Abhyas means what thing has been repeated again and again. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, what do we find? We find the history of Bhaktas. We find the history of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Chitraketu Maharaj. All these great devotees. There's no, it is not like there's a discussion of the Astavaka Rishi and Shankar Acharya or any, like this, so many Buddhists or anything. There's no discussion again and again. It is not repeated. Even though such sages who were in Persis may be mentioned here and there, but what is the theme which comes again and again? If you just look at the first canto, there is Parikshit Maharaj, great devotee. Shukadev Goswami was in Persis, he became a personalist. Kunti Devi is praying to Krishna. Bhishma Devi is about to leave this world and he's offering prayers to Krishna on his bed of arrows. Just again and again and again. It's the nectar of the devotion of great saints. So this is Abhyas. This is repeated again and again. So collect another point, another indicatory point, ling. Abhyasa, apurvata phalam. Apurvata means apurva, some unprecedented claim. Some unprecedented claims are made, such as Atmaramas chamunayo nigrant apyurukrame korvant hoitakim paktit itam bhuta ganohari. Even great saints like Shukadev Goswami, who were absorbed in Brahman, and the four Kumaras, Atmarama rishis, they all forgot, they left the worship of Brahman and they engaged in bhakti to Krishna because he has itam bhuta gunohari. The Supreme Lord has amazing qualities that even those who are fully satisfied, they're attracted to him and they can never find the end of their desire to serve him more and more and more. It's amazing. This is apurvata. And palam. Palam means what is the fruit? What does this scripture say is the fruit of the practice? So, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, there it's described that when Vyasadeva, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite, he went into the trance of Bhakti Yoga and saw all the pastimes of Sri Krishna. Anato Pasamam Sakshad Bhakti Yoga Madoksaje. And he realized, this is so wonderful, that if you have devotion to Krishna, only the byproduct, the side effect, is that it removes all the anarthas. It removes all attachment, all illusion, all suffering. Vedyam vastavam atra shivadam tapa trayonmulanam. The root cause of the threefold miseries in this world is completely uprooted by this realization of devotion to Krishna. So mukti and liberation is not even the effect. The fruit is bhakti to Krishna. But the side effect of that is the liberation and destruction of all misery. So this is astonishing. So we have apurvata, that which is the unprecedented claim, and the fruit. This fruit is so powerful. Mukti, which is the goal of the other practices, is just the side effect of this fruit. So then, artavad. Artavad upapatis. Artavad means what things have been glorified. So everywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is glorified? Only praying, only love. Uddhav, he is eternal associate of the Supreme Lord, Mukta Mahapurush, perfect liberated person. But when he went to Vrindavan, then he was crying and praying, Asammaho Charanarenu Dusha Mahamsa. If only I could become a small herb in Vrindavan and get the foot dust of these gopis. Why? Because sarvata bhava dikrito bhavati nama doksaje virahina mahabhaga mahanmaya nugraha krita. Only you have the adhikar for mahabhav. And so different levels of devotees are glorified, but they are in a sequence. And it leads up to gopi. So what is glorified again and again? Bhakti. But the highest bhakti, that is the glories of the gopis of Vrindavan. We see it comes again and again. Even in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lalita Gati Vilasa Falguhasa, Pranaya Nirikshana Kalpaturmana, Kritamana Krita Bhakti Unmadanda, Prakritima Gankila Yasya Gopavadvaha. Bhishmadev is a Jnani Bhakta. He has knowledge of Krishna's opulences. He is a Kshatriya from the royal family. And he is a Naistic Brahmachari, lifelong Brahmachari. He also has hundreds of arrows through his body. And he's about to die. And what is he saying? Oh, during the Rasa Leela. Lalita Gati Vilasa Falguhasa. During the Rasa Leela, Krishna, he was walking in such a beautiful way. Why? He's intoxicated. The way that Krishna walks, the way that he moves in Rasalila, he does not move like this in any other time, in any other place, or with any other associates. Ladita Gati Vilasa, Falguhasa. How Krishna was laughing at that time, Pranaya Nirikshana, and how he was glancing. It was extraordinary. What he means to say at this time is that if a pujari is doing seva to a deity, then they need so many upachar, so many ingredients of worship, like flowers. He needs a deep, a lamp, some incense and water. So just as the pujari is worshipping the deity with these ingredients, so during the Rasalila, Sri Krishna was worshipping the Braja Gopis by the ingredients of a new style of walking, by the ingredients of a smile and a laughter that he did not laugh before, by the ingredients of very charming glances and smiles and dancing. It was actually Krishna's way of worshipping those Braja Gopis. Kritamanu Kritavat Unmadanda. And gopis, they became mad. This has a double meaning. That the gopis in the madness of love were imitating Krishna. I know I am supposed to be explaining the Vichapradhan Marg, but what can we do? I think the Katha itself illustrates the difference. We are discussing the Sadling. So for those who are on the Vichapradhan Marg, they take this Sadling and they're analyzing the Upanishads. What is Jiva? What is Brahma? What is Maya? And so on. But as devotees, we may also take those Sadling and apply it to Srimad Bhagavatam. But because Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhakti Rasa Swarup, it's the embodiment of all rasa, then it's inevitable if you apply the 6 criteria for identifying the purpose of a scripture to Bhagavatam, it will all come out like Rasa Katha. Okay, so, but on the route, on the Vichar Marg, they're applying these 6 lim to the analysis of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, and all the earth, water, fire, air, ether, to the different states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and all of the various discussions that you can find in the Upanishads and Vedanta. So, acha, yes. What is glorified in Bhagavatam? So, it is not only in the 10th canto that gopis are glorified, but Krishna glorifies them so much to Uddhav in the 11th canto. And even from the very beginning, we see in the 1st canto, there, Bhishma Dev is saying, Kritamanu Kritavatya Unmadanda. Unmada means intoxicated, and Anda means becoming blind. They became blinded by Prem, and Kritamanu Krita. They began to imitate Krishna. So this has double meaning. Prakritim agankila yasya gopavadva. And the gopis attained Prakriti, a nature just like Krishna's nature. So this has 2 meanings. First of all, when Sri Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Lila, gopis became mad and they were searching for him everywhere. And as they became more and more absorbed in remembering Krishna, then Sri Krishna, Hanuman's trying to get in. Use the steps are on the other side. So, when the gopis were searching for Krishna, then they saw, Krishna is in my heart. And when they saw Krishna in their heart, they saw that the gopis themselves were in the heart of Krishna. Each gopi saw, first they saw Krishna in the heart, but they saw Krishna, he's thinking of me. And saw themselves in the heart of Krishna. And seeing themselves in the heart of Krishna, they saw themselves with Krishna in their heart. With the gopi in the heart, with the Krishna in the heart, with the gopi in the heart, with the Krishna. Just like, if you have a candle, and you put a mirror on one side, then you'll see the candle in the mirror. But if you put a mirror on the other side, you'll see the candle in the mirror, and the candle in the mirror, and the candle in the mirror, like this forever. Going on. And so when in separation, Krishna appeared in their hearts, he appeared again and again and again and again, and they completely lost awareness of themselves and thought, Krishna Aham, I am Krishna. Just see how I walk. And they began to imitate the pastimes of Sri Krishna. So this is one meaning. Bhishma Dev, he is about to die. And it's, how glorious. The gopis, they became mad in separation. And they thought, I am Krishna. And they attained his nature and began to act like him. This is one meaning. Then the other meaning is, after Krishna came back and met with them in the Rasalila, and they were united, they were dancing, and they went into the kunjas to play with Krishna. At that time, gopis became absorbed in Krishna. That again, they were thinking, I am Krishna, and they began to play the role of Krishna, and Krishna plays the role of gopi. So they changed their awareness. Each one thinks, I am the other one. So, Unmadanda, being maddened and blinded by Prem, the gopis, both at the time of separation and at the time of meeting, they attained the nature, just like Krishna's nature. Why is the Bhishma Dev saying this? Bhishma Dev, his goal is not to become a gopi in Vrindavan. This is not his goal. His Ishtadev is Dwakadish Krishna, Parthasarthi, driving the chariot of Arjun with a whip in his hand. Bhishma, he likes this form of Krishna. But he glorified Braja Gopis because he wants to attain Krishna's mercy. And the best way to attain the mercy of Krishna is not to glorify Krishna, but to glorify the persons who love Krishna the most and for whom Krishna has the most love. This is why Lord Brahma, he offered so many prayers to Krishna. But Krishna never looked at him. He was just waiting for Brahma to finish all these prayers. So then Brahma had an idea. Aho bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Brajokasam. And he began to glorify Nanda Maharaj and all the residents of Vrindavan. So this is the most intelligent way to glorify Krishna. That's why we don't chant the mantra that begins with Krishna. We chant the mantra which begins Hare Krishna and ends with Hare Hare, double. Radhika is in the beginning and Radhika is in the end, double. So, Artavad Upapattisya. Oh, what has been glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam? When Jiva Goswami describes the Sadling, he says, oh, just see. Bhayam dvitya abhinivesatasyat ishada pitasa viparyasmati tanmaya tabur avajatam bhaktaikesham guru devatatma. In the 11th canto it is said that a person becomes inflicted with fear, with anxiety and all types of worldly emotions due to the abhinivesh, absorption in the duality of this world. And why are they absorbed in reality? Ishat apetasya. Of the person who ishat, from the Lord, who has turned away from the Lord. So he uses this as the example of what is glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because it said that the cause of all suffering is to turn away from the Lord. And therefore, the solution to every problem is to turn towards the Lord. So to turn away from God, that is called vimukata. Mukha, your face, is V, against. Vimukata. And so the only answer is unmukata, to turn the face towards the Lord. Unmukata. And what is bhakti? Bhakti is simply unmukata. Bhakti is that by which a person's attention becomes fully centered on Krishna. What are we doing? You may have many services, chanting Harinam, or cleaning the temple, or cooking, or preaching, or distributing books. But what's the point? Everything that we're doing is to center our attention on Krishna. And this is why bhakti has to be anyabhilasta shunyam, completely devoid of any other desire. Why? Because if you are serving Krishna, but you have another intention, another incentive, something else is motivating you, then the so-called service, instead of focusing you on Krishna, will focus you on the other thing that you want. This is the big danger. Therefore, all anyabhilash, all other desires, they must be given up. And this is the test. If we are chanting, if we are serving, if we are cooking, if we are cleaning, if we are preaching, and the mind is focused on Krishna, this is the sign that the bhakti itself is anyabhilashta shunyam. It is free from other desires. But if the mind is focused on other things while engaged in bhakti, then you have to know that actually these things are the reason why we are doing the activity and not Krishna. And it can be mixed. But it should be Shuddha, should be pure. So, Upakram, Upapatti. Here, Upapatti means it is Patti with two T's. Not Upapatti with one T means a paramour. So it is not a paramour. Even though the Upapatti Bhav is the Tatparya of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Upapatti means appropriateness. Appropriateness. So, appropriateness means that if you collect together all the indicatory, the symptoms of the scripture, then what you say is the Tatparya, the ultimate purpose. It should be logically consistent with the ling that you have collected. Let us say you have collected from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna repeats again and again in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam, surrender to me. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam narastro. Mame vice, he says, mam. Mataha parataram nanya. There is no truth superior to me. So you pointed out that what is repeated in Gita, mam. Krishna, me. So you have to conclude that the Bhagavad Gita is about devotion to Krishna. So if in your ling you collected that so many dozens and dozens of times Krishna said to me, and then you give the conclusion, and therefore the Bhagavad Gita tells us to serve Lord Shiva, then this is not upapatti. This is not appropriate because it is not consistent with the types of ling that you have collected from the scripture. So, what is the example of appropriateness? Or we can say, in the Narad Vyas Samvad, the conversation between Narad and Vyas, there Narad Muni, he says, Idam hi pumsas tapasa shritasya va swistasya suktasya cha buddhidatayo avicyatorta kavibini rupito yad uttama shloka gunana varnanam. He said, the continuous glorification of Krishna, who has been glorified with transcendental, most exquisite, highest poetry. That is the purpose and the result. That is the artha, the ultimate purpose of everything, all practices described in the scripture, such as performing sacrifices, performing austerities, studying the Vedas, giving in charity. You know, the scriptures tell you, give in charity, study the Vedas, do austerities, perform sacrifices, chant mantras. The Vedas say all of these things. But what is the ultimate purpose of all of those things? Yad uttama shloka gunana varnanam. This is interesting because it doesn't say that the ultimate purpose is Krishna. It says the ultimate purpose is constantly speaking and hearing the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So this is amazing because now we are hearing about Krishna's pastimes. And what does that lead to in the end? Hearing about Krishna's pastimes. Just like in Gopal Champu, you see there, every day the bridge basis in the evening, they get together and Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta, they speak. And even in the spiritual world, The devotees in the spiritual world, including Radha and Krishna, they even sit down and they listen to their pastimes. This is what they do. Just like once someone asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the result of all this chanting? Srila Prabhupada said, more chanting. So Harikatha is such a wonderful thing. Tava katham ritam tapta jivanam kaviviritam kalmasam. When the Braja Gopis say, at that time when we are separated from you, Krishna, then what can we only Harikatha can save our life. Even when Radharani in separation is quarreling with the bumblebee, Tadalamasita Sakya Justa Tatakatata. She said to the bumblebee, why are you always talking about this Krishna? Alamasita Sakya. Enough with friendship with this Asita. Sita means white. Asita means not white. She doesn't even want to say Disham Kalava. Enough of friendship. We should not have any more friendship with this not white person. Then the bumblebee said, oh my Swamini, you say that you don't want to have anything more to do with this Krishna. But you are talking about him again and again. Radharani says, Dushta Chastat Katata. Yes, this is the problem. I can give up Krishna, but I cannot give up Krishna Kata. Dushtaja means very difficult to give up. Impossible to give up. Tat Katharta. It's impossible to give up Harikatha. And therefore in the very first canto it says, what's the purpose of all this study? What's the purpose of all this austerity and yagyas and mantra chanting? Tad uttama shloka gunana varnanam. Oh, eternal Harikatha. It's amazing. We can see, we have just been, for the last few days, I could not attend in person, in the morning class. But I was there and watching everything and taking notes just as if in the temple room, though I could not be there in person. And just see how beautiful. This is also a good illustration between the Vichar Pradhan Marg and the Ruchi Pradhan Marg. In Vichar Pradhan, you can see, honestly, if you go to the Sampradayas, where Vaidhi Bhakti is very prominent, like Sri Sampradaya, and our own Madhva Sampradaya, they have so much discussion going on for years and years about Brahma, Jiva and Jagat. What is real and what is not real? What is illusion and what is not illusion? The snake and the rope. And all of these things. It's like endless ocean. But what are the devotees doing? Oh, we are hearing how Krishna has left Vrindavan. And everyone is crying in separation. Srimati Radhika and gopis have fainted. And they're lying on the bank of Jamuna unconscious. But we can say by the arrangement of Yoga Maya. But Yoga Maya is the expression or expansion of Radhika's Prem. And therefore we can say this whole pastime of Lalit Madhav is the Prema Dasha. Dasha means particular state of mind or particular condition of mind. So due to the Prema Dasha, Shri Krishna Virahe Radhikara Dasha Amito Sahite Nare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, absorbed in the mood of Kamala Manjari, she says that the Dasha, the condition of Radhika when she's in separation from Krishna, I cannot tolerate it. So what has happened here, Radhika has fainted, all the Sakis have fainted, all the Manjaris have fainted, but the power of Yavadashray Vritti, that means her love expands and affects everyone. And so they're all having the same dream experience. The same dream experience. But you should know that in this world, your dreams, they're caused by Rajagun, the mode of passion. When Sattva becomes less and less, we lose consciousness and we go into the dream state. And that dream is mainly a collection of our own sanskars churning. But the dream or the collective dream, which is coming from Prema Dasha, which is coming from Mahabhav, which is, what is this Mahabhav? Ladi Nirasara Prema Sahabhav. It is essence of Ladini Shakti. So that cannot be asat, it cannot be false. That transcendental collective dream which is coming from Prem is also true. In one dimension. Prakash Bhed, we can say. So gopis are all fainted in Vrindavan, but they're having this collective dream, and in this dream, Radharani is going inside a cave of Govardhan. And in that cave, it's very dark, so Krishna's Kaustubha Mani has become illuminated. And as they're walking through the cave and the Kaustubha Mani is illuminating, there are so many pictures on the walls. And the pictures are the life of Krishna. Putanagatana Trinarvatana Shakata Banjana Gopala. Like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the song Harinama Tua Aneka Swarupa. He's giving the names of Krishna, but he gives them in a particular order from Krishna's birth, and gradually each pastime one by one. So similarly, Vishwakarma has made the paintings on the wall, Krishna's whole life, one by one. And Radha and Krishna are looking at them. And as they see them, then what happens? It is not ordinary thing. I gave the example that sometimes families, they get together and they look in their photo album. And they say, oh, look, when you were born, here's the picture of you when you were born. And then when you went to school, and then when you graduated, and like this. But this is prakrita. But those things which are aprakrita, they have some special power. Lokottara padatanam prabhava kopyanagalaha ratin tadvishayam chaso basate turnamekada. It's the nature of the substances which are aprakrita, supernatural, which are lokottara, beyond this world. They have the anagala prabhav. Agala means the block of wood that you put in the hooks on the back of the door. You know, when you close a double door and it has some hooks and you put a block of wood in there and it blocks, now no one can get out. That is called argala. So the prabhav, the power of transcendental substances is anargala. There's no bolt. Wherever it is, it can break out from there and go. And no one can stop it. It's unstoppable. And the unstoppable power of these divine substances, ratin tadvishayam, that it makes the sudden appearance of love for Krishna and the appearance of Krishna also. Both. Immediately. Turanam means immediately. And ekada, at the same time. And so this is what Rupa Goswami is describing here. I was feeling so sad I could not come every day, because before the class I can have the chance to speak a few words. And I wanted to say something about this very beautiful pastime. Because what is happening? Radha Krishna are not only seeing the paintings of their own pastimes, but because this is the Lokottara Vastu, It's like a deity painting of Krishna. And because they have Prem, as soon as they see them, it has unlimited effect. And they immediately become transported to that moment. When Radhika, she saw the painting of Mother Yashoda, immediately she saw Mother Yashoda and she folded her hands and gave pranam. Oh, Brajeshwari, my pranam. When Radhika saw the Rasalila and Krishna saw the Ras, they became lost. Radhika said, oh, I hear the sound of Krishna's flute. He's calling me. I have to go there at once. Radhika was not in the cave in Nava Vrindavan. She was on the bank of the Jamuna in actual Vrindavan. Why? The Udipana. The stimulation of bhav immediately made the Dwarkadish Krishna, who is standing next to her, he disappeared. And she saw Krishna is there at Bansi playing the flute, and she's running to meet with him. And no one can stop me. Such a mood. Krishna heard the syllables, rasa, 2 syllables, and Krishna became, his head was spinning. And he felt himself that he was going in a whirlpool. What does the whirlpool mean? The whirlpool means the halishak. Halishak means when all the gopis get in a circle and they're singing and their ankle bells are ringing and they're dancing with rag and tal all around Krishna, and Krishna looks, and it's just like being in a whirlpool of Prem. So what to speak of seeing the picture? Only hearing the syllables, rasa. And Krishna was there in a whirlpool of thousands of gopis. And he lost control completely. He is not karta. He is not the doer. He only becomes the instrument in the hand of Prem. When Radhika saw the Akrur, then she almost died. So this is the example of what is the goal of all the Shastra? Harikatha. Because even in the spiritual world, even when Radhika and gopis are fainted and in their Prem Dasha, they are seeing pictures in the cave. What do? They're having Harikatha. And this Harikatha being a Lokottara Vastu, it is not a substance of this world. It causes immediate direct experience of Krishna and love for Krishna, and the whole pastime manifests. This is Harikatha. So if a person, he gets some ruchi, I'm not talking about ruchi after nishta. That is very good. But if you can just get some inclination, some interest, I want to hear Harikatha, then you are so fortunate. And you can be saved from years and years of dry philosophical analysis. Yes. Some you'll have to do a little to brush away the cobwebs, the last remnants which are stopping you from entering into that. But the focus, the speciality, the most glorious thing is Vasudeva Kataruchi. The gift of Sadhu Sangha is this fascination to hear the pastimes of Krishna. And it will go on. Kim Brahma Janma Be Ananta Katha Rasasya. It is Ananta, it will go on forever. It will turn into Mahabhav, and even it is there in the stage of Mahabhav. As is evidence from this beautiful Lalit Madhav Natakam that we are discussing. Bhale Vrindavan Bihari Lala ki jai, Vare Saniwali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe.